There is a moment in every life when you decide to rise, to stand taller than your fear, to speak louder than your doubt, to chase the vision that sets your soul on fire. This is that moment. And here, we walk it together with stories that awaken, voices that inspire, and truths that set you free. This is Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald, where hope has a voice, and that voice is yours. And welcome to the show, everybody. We've got a great show for you today. And by the way, Steve, before this show is over, and we're going to have to take your picture because I want your picture on the opening as well. And Rochelle, welcome to the show. How are you, my friend? You had a tough night with your puppy dog and stuff, and I hope the little one is doing better today. They're resting at the vet, I understand, and so, but Rochelle, do you know anything about Steve?
Yes, actually, I was looking at his website. If you're curious, everybody go look at stevegamlin.com. He's a speaker, and honestly, before we came on the show, we were talking about jumping off buildings. So I'd say that Steve's one for just about anything that brings happiness and resilience and maybe a little bit of adrenaline too to help keep us in touch. So thank you for being here, Steve. It is so nice to meet you and have you back on the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you. It's at the time of this broadcast, it's a Friday afternoon. Had a good week and got to just do a little bit of everything this week. Not as much adrenaline, but I might have to take care of some of that this weekend.
Exactly. And I don't want to know what that entails, but I'm sure you'll tell us at one point. And by the way, he's a former radio guy. He's a stand-up comic. He is a speaker and has spoke to many organizations, including, I just mentioned it before the show, Hugh O'Brien's organization. And there are people that are going, who's that? Well, I'll tell you who that is. Hugh O'Brien was an actor way back, and he had a television show that he was Wyatt Earp in that television show, and he has he created some nonprofits and has done some really good work. He's gone now, but when he was here, he was really, and so that goes back way back. And I was surprised that Steve even remembers that he was an actor and stuff. But that's, there you go. And but Steve, it's awesome to have you here. You've been on the show before. We had such a wonderful time that we had to invite you back.
I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much. That means a lot. It really does. I've been on over 300 shows all around the world, and it's always a true joy and an honor when somebody says, we'd like to have you back again and continue this and share some good energy with our listeners and viewers. So very happy to be here.
Well, we are so happy that you're here. And again, life is not always a bowl of cherries or cupcakes and sunshine. And you had we've come up with a new expression that was told to us the other day. It's called the dark night of the soul. And I know that you had one of those when your beloved wife, Tina, passed away, and our condolences again for that. And and how did you describe her, by the way?
I refer to her now, and everybody that's known her for years always laughs when I say this. She is my beautiful blue-eyed angel wearing fabulous shoes. Tina knew her fashion, and whenever I say that, it always makes her coworkers, some of whom worked with her for 26 years, they always say, "Oh yes, Tina in her shoe collection." Yeah. So that's how I choose to speak about her and to her on a daily basis.
So she spent a great deal of time at shoe stores, didn't she? I was a shoe salesman, so was Brichella one time.
Yep. She shopped mostly online. And since I've known her, I mean, we were together for 17 and a half years. So she knew where to go. And matter of fact, when we went on a European cruise in June of 2024, it wasn't shoes, but we walked through the 98-degree high humidity streets of Sicily to go to the Louis Vuitton store. Now, could she have bought a bag online? Yes, she could have. Was it more cool and fun that we walked through and ate some really good pizza on the way and she was able to actually put her hand on the bag right there in Sicily. And then I carried it all the way back to the ship. So that's just moments like that with her I treasure, because she just loved beautiful things.
Well, and as you mentioned before the show even started, she is still around you. And tell us the story of the because you've had a couple of bouts with thunderstorms, and tell us the story that you told me before we began.
Yeah, Tina has made it very clear that she is still here with me in our home, and from seeing in the yard, and just moments, songs that will come on just out of the blue on Alexa or YouTube or something. But last week so far has been the loudest one, because for those who didn't catch the first time, I am here as a speaker and a coach, and did 7 years of stand-up comedy, because I basically stood in a thunderstorm for an hour hitting golf balls at a driving range under power lines barefoot in the wet grass. So me and lightning go way back. A week ago, we had a thunderstorm starting to come through, and I could actually watch the dark clouds coming over the house. So I was on the front porch of our house, leaning against the wrought iron railing on my phone, creating a video, and basically said in the middle of it, laughing, hey, if Tina was here right now, she'd be tap, tap, tapping that window behind me saying, get your butt in the house. So when I finished the video, I did. And by the time I got in the house and got to the 3-season porch on the back of our house, by then it was pouring and thunder and lightning. And again, I'm holding the aluminum screen door open so that I can get a video that doesn't have the screen door messing up the view. And I videoed for about 10 seconds. There was pouring rain, thunder, and lightning. And then I sat down in a chair. And for whatever reason, I looked at the woods behind the house just in time to see a bolt of lightning about 40 feet from the house crash through the woods and hit the ground and just lit up the backyard. I heard the sizzle. I could smell the burn in the air. And I found out the next day it blew out 2 spotlights in the backyard and the ground fault plug on the porch, and also blew up one of my external monitors in the basement. That was the one I use for my workouts in the morning, connected to a laptop. So Tina let me know, when the thunder's going, get your butt in the house. And I thank her for that. And I also thank her for not hitting the house, because
Well, she likes the house and she doesn't want to hit it.
I love our house. I've actually, the last gift she ever gave me was an early Christmas gift. And it's a framed picture with the silhouette of a house in it. Inside the shape of the house is a map of our town with a little heart right where our street address is. So she would never let it hit the house, because it says on it, our first home, Steve and Tina, and the date we bought it. So she'll try to get me around the edges, but she won't hit the house.
Well, and I'm willing to bet that in your mind, if not in your ears, you heard her laughing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And I always say the same thing. Thank you, baby. I say that no matter what. Every time there's a sign, I just look up and I just, thank you, baby, because I know she's around.
It is amazing to me, because I have an affinity for music, and I don't know how they do this, but I'll get in my car and I'll be thinking about something. There's a song that I love, which is Nothing Else Matters by Metallica. I don't know if you know that song.
Yes, I do.
And when one of it is forever trust in who you are, because nothing else matters. And so that's and I have that CD in my car in the player. But when Brichelle was here, because she came here and visited, she took a little leaf and she put it into the player. And so I didn't want to extract it, because I wanted to leave that leaf in there. It's still there, by the way. And so I said, I'd like to hear that song, but I don't want to upset any of that. So I listened to a particular radio station. I turned the car on. Guess what was playing on the radio?
Perfect. Nothing Else Matters. There you go.
Yeah.
It was, and that happens to me all the time.
Yeah, me too.
And that's why now I'm doing a music show. I haven't even told you about that one.
No, you have not.
Brishelle and I are doing a music show on Brushwood Media Network at 6 a.m. Pacific time and 9 a.m. Eastern time, and it's called what's it called, Brishelle?
It's called Greatest Vibes Unplugged.
Ooh, I like
And
that.
we play music that means a lot to me. You know what I'm finding, Steve? And this is a little scary. What I'm finding is that the songs that I grew up with, things like Simon and Garfunkel,
Mhm.
um, um, Bridge Over Troubled Waters, and
Yeah.
a lot of the really cool songs like Elton John, Somebody Save My Life Tonight, and the Eagles, Already Gone, and
Mm.
the things that, because I remember sitting in my car when they were, and that when my girlfriend had just threatened to leave, and that song came on the radio, and then she was already gone. But and so those little things. But I'm finding that people under 40 haven't even heard that music,
Mm. Yeah, and it's
and
funny you
it's
mentioned
so.
that Elton John song. I just listened to it about 45 minutes ago. So when you said that, got the goosebumps up and down the arm. That is one of my all-time favorite songs. I've listened to it so many times since I lost Tina because it says, "I'm sleeping with myself tonight. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. Damn it, listen to me good. I'm sleeping with myself tonight. Sick and tired, but thank God my music's still alive." That lyric has hit me so hard my entire life, but more so over the past 8.5 months.
It
And
is
it
it
just
is
keeps
a
playing. It keeps popping up in my
Yeah.
world.
and it's a great song, and the story behind that is Elton John was having a tough time, and Bernie Taupin, who writes the lyrics, was upstairs and he wrote the lyrics for this, brought it down to Elton John, and he created the music around it. It is a timeless classic.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Always love that song. That one can come on and I'm just going to sit there and listen to the whole thing. And yeah, I've played that one quite often the last 8+ months.
Isn't it amazing? Now, Brishelle, it's amazing to me that. And I think Tina had a hand in this because I mentioned that song. There are 35 songs that are in our catalog currently. And I mentioned that song because it just came to my mind. And it turns out that Steve, that means something special to Steve. And it has to do with his wife who is no longer with us. That just another sign for me that we don't know how involved they are, and how much. Well, I do know how much they are, but they're with us all the time, and after they pass and stuff. So I thought that was pretty remarkable. Rochelle, what did you think?
Yeah, 100%, because it I like how you bring up that, how I've noticed, Kevin, because I've listened to a lot of older music as a younger person, and I also listen to the newer music, and it's a completely different framework, but so many of these songs mean the same thing and have the same message and help us understand. Even 20 years ago at 18, for somebody, or now for somebody who's 18 years old, they have that comparison. And also with the energy, it just reminds us that we're vessels, and that we can let that vessel get really clogged up and really blocked. And you could have done that, Steve, and it would have been so much harder for her to send you these messages and have your intuition, and for me and you and Kevin to have a conversation that would have been so touching. And it reminds us that we are all connected and we are energy. It's just not her physical that's here anymore. And it goes to prove that we get to sit here and talk about it. And like a lot of people will say, you probably get this a lot, Steve. That just doesn't make sense, or there's no way that's possible, but deep down that it does make sense and it's totally possible, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm very big on the universe, law of attraction and all that, but not in a woo-woo way. My style has
Yeah.
been referred to as blue collar woo. So I just tell people it is real. I
Yeah.
don't have to understand what's going on at a cellular or a metaphysical level at all times. I know because I live this every single day. We are all connected.
Mhm.
We just are because we're all part of this fabric and all these, electrons flying around on this beautiful blue spinning rock, which is molten lava at its center. It's so unpredictable that anything is possible, really. And I see these connections all the time. I just think things, and all of a sudden I see the opportunities. It doesn't mean they just instantly happen. It means I am more aware of opportunities. So for Kevin to say that song and then me to share that, and then now it's going to impact the rest of this conversation, and we're all going to go forward after it, and something's going to pop up that makes you think of it. Or in a very similar way, a song is going to come on that makes you think of somebody special.
Yeah, and going through this too, has it helped you maybe help other people who were a little more blocked or didn't kind of know how to accept that it didn't have to be maybe so hard and their person was still there to be there, or even in their own energy? Because when you have to accept yourself and understand it's within you to allow you to see what's outside.
Yeah, I do my best to share our story with other people as an example of what is possible. I've been part of a couple of different grief programs, some one-on-one group, one-on-one coaching and group as well. And sharing my story and hearing stories from other people who've gone through it, we've had some really good conversations where they said, "Oh, I can't do this because he's not here or she's not here. I can't." But I saw a bunch of them just a week ago, and they said, "You know what? I'm cooking again," because their partner had done all the cooking. So now they didn't want to use the stove for months.
Yeah.
And they said, "I'm cooking again." And now I kind of feel him there helping me out and kind of guiding me to the spice rack and how I'm supposed to do this. And it's just really nice to see the people getting unlocked and unblocked. And because I'm doing all of the cooking here now at the house, it helps me to realize how much of an impact Tina had on me with regard to cooking. Because, hey, I'm a guy. For years, my entire recipe book was buy meat, add heat, and that was it. I would just cook it with no flavor at all. So now, I mean, I'm getting 2 armfuls of stuff out of our spice rack, which coincidentally is the entire back of our pantry door. And I'm enjoying, even though it's without her, I still feel her presence here, and I'm just enjoying all of the rewards of all those years spent with her and how it impacts every single thing I do in this house every day. And cooking has just been one of the great joys, because I'll stop sometimes and think and say, "Well, you know what, baby, you taught me how to do this. And boy, this would have sucked if I didn't use all those flavors that you taught me. So thank you."
And we're talking with Steve Gamlin. And Steve, as always happens, I have no earthly idea where any of these shows are going to go. I let the universe dictate it. And when we come back, I want to tell you a story about my brother, because there are people still out there who do not believe in what we are talking about. And I want to give some folks some concrete things to think about when we're talking about folks that have left us. We need to take a quick break, and we will be right back. Rochelle is here. Steve Gamlin is here. My name is Kevin McDonald. Stay with us, everybody. We'll be back in 50 seconds. Hey, do you want your content to stand out and grab attention? Well, we've got the magic touch. Professional video editing that keeps eyes locked on the screen. Photo editing that turns ordinary shots into scroll-stopping visuals. Crisp, clean audio editing for podcasts, ads, and more. Social media posting and scripting so your content isn't just seen, it's remembered. And guess what? We've got even more amazing services waiting just for you. Whether you're a brand, a business, or a content creator, we help you show up and stand out. Spots are limited. Don't wait. Email us now or book a call today and turn your vision into viral-worthy content. Don't wait. Hit us up now. And welcome back to Positive Talk. By the way, that email address that we so artfully forgot to put into the spot right there is Kevin at kmmedia.pro or Rochelle at kmmedia.pro, and reach out to us and we would love to help you out. Steve, I got to tell you, I have been doing this. I've been in radio as long as you were, and I've done a lot of interviews with psychic mediums and other folks, and they tell me things that have happened, and then they happen. Let me give you an example. My brother, who was my older brother, and now he's my younger brother because he passed away 4 years ago, and we were 18 months apart. And My sister calls me at 8:15 in the morning, and she says Randy passed away. He had stage 4 cancer, and it was very well expected. But she called and said, "Yeah, he passed this morning." And I wasn't ready to get up yet, so we talked for a minute, and then I hung up the phone, and then I had a dream. Yeah, although it wasn't a dream. I dreamed that I was in a room with a bunch of really, really pretty people, young people in their 20s and 30s, and they were very, very excited because there was a special guest that was coming. And now my brother, before he had chemotherapy and all that and lost his hair, had the most beautiful brown, reddish auburn hair, and it was longer. And so I'm standing there with all of these people, and they're all very excited. And in walks this guy. I don't see his face, but I see his hair walking across the screen. And then I see him sitting down. And this is only my brother. There was a female behind him sitting on the couch. He was sitting on the floor in front of the couch, and a female on each side. One had her hands around his neck, and the other one's, and it was my brother. And it was not a dream. It was him telling me for sure that he's good, he's okay, he's excited about, and he was given a hero's welcome because he went to the other side and he made it through. And
Wow.
so, and that was only one of many stories that I have about how psychic mediums are able to communicate with the other side. We all can. She does from time to time, and stuff. So, but I wanted to share that because for those that think, oh, they're gone, and they're really gone, they're not gone. They are there for you. They're supporting you. They're very engaged, and sometimes they even bring thunderstorms and lightning.
Mm-hmm. Some days.
They
I
do.
love that story. I think that's great. And a dear friend of mine who's done a lot of research into spirituality and a lot of the ancient religions and different tribes around the world has said that they believe that between day 7 or by day 7 or 9, that the people who have passed will come, if we ask them to, will come
Yep.
and just say goodbye.
Yep.
And that's I mean, that was instant. That's very quick for that to have happened for you. So yeah, that's beautiful. I
Yeah.
love that.
Well,
Yeah.
and in the research that I've done, one of the cool things that we get when we cross over to the other side is we get this party. And it's all the people that are there for generations and friends that we knew, and some of them are still here, but they've got a presence on the other side as well. And by the way, and the Gail here, Steve, love how you're embracing your Tina's presence.
Thank you, Gail. I adore Gail. She's a dear friend of mine, and she's on quite a journey now herself. So I love that she's here and sharing that. Yeah, we just had an amazing conversation recently. So, hi, Gail.
Well, and that is, it's really cool that, because our lives continue, and this is one of the things that I wanted to make sure that everybody knows. They do not end. They continue. We're still involved. And one of the other things that I just wanted to mention, that I mean, in talking to a lot of people that have been through grief, one of the things that they say is, I'm never going to date again, and I'm really stuck in this grief. And I said to one of the gals that I was talking to, I said, okay, I want you to do me a favor. And she said, yeah, what is it? And I said, I want you to trade places with the person who passed away, which was her husband. And I said, okay, now you're on the other side and he's sitting here in grief and is miserable. Is that what you want for him? And she said, no, I would want him to live his life to the fullest, because he's not going to be here that long and I'm going to see him again. I know that. So live your life to the fullest. And if that means another relationship, by gum, have another relationship, do your things in life. Yeah. And so that's the message that I want everybody to understand, is that even people that we love that have passed on, they want the best for us. They want us to live here because they know this is not permanent here. They know it's a temporary thing, and then we'll all get together with them again. That is the most hopeful thing in my world that I can come up with, because my dad passed away, my dog's passed away, my brother, my mom, my high school sweetheart, my best friend from high school, and we'll all get together at one point again.
Yep. I agree as well. And my biggest thing for Tina is just, I say, I hope Super Teddy was there, because he was a little Yorkie Pomeranian that she and her mom had adopted. He was a rescue in 2009, and he passed away Memorial Day weekend of 2020. And Tina was absolutely devastated, to the point where she said, no more pets ever. I cannot go through this again. So my biggest wish for her is I hope Super Teddy was there with his little tiny puffball of a tail, wagging as much as it actually didn't really move. It was more for decoration than anything else. But that was the first thing I thought of. Boy, I hope Super Teddy was there waiting for you, because she would have just been overjoyed.
Well, those were one of those dogs that the tail doesn't move, but the whole butt moves.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Exactly. We used to call him Wiggle Butt. Yeah. He was like that. He'd shimmy across the floor if it was a slippery floor, and when he was so happy. Yeah. He was like a little Roomba with feet.
And by the way, we're talking with Steve Gamlin, and he is a tremendous speaker. And he whether it's the first one and when nobody's had their coffee yet, I pulled this directly from your website, by the way, or it's right after lunch when everybody's having a crash, or it's at the end of the day when you need somebody to really bring that message home. Steve is your guy.
Thank you. Yeah,
have I said that okay?
Anywhere. Oh, you said that perfectly. Yeah. If you print out what you just said and put macaroni and glitter around the edges of it, my mom would hang it on her fridge.
Well, just tell her to pull it from your website, because that's where I got it from. I was plagiarizing. So, Rochelle, what do you think?
I love this conversation, Steve. If you're open to it, I'd love to share a similar story to Kevin's with you, and follow up by kind of asking you what your experience was, because we all have these experiences. And I had this happen with my grandma. My grandma Jackie was a very spiritual woman. She was open to all the possibilities. She always told me, like, I'm going to come and see you. I'm going to be talking to you. Better listen to me. And she understood that I knew how to open that up. But when she died, it was me who thought she wasn't there anymore. And I was just angry, because I wanted the experience of, where are you? Like, I'm supposed to see you right in front of my face, or sitting at the end of bed. You were supposed to wake me up. I don't want you to keep sending me rocks and sticks and all these other things. I want to see you physically. And how kind of Kevin said, you have to ask to let them know that you're ready for that too, because they still understand what we're going through as humans. And for some people, that may not be what they need, is to see that person, And so I had asked her, please just tell me that you're still here in some sort of physical way. And same thing like Kevin, that night I went to sleep, I had a dream, and in the dream, I was so mad. I was yelling at her. I was freaking out. And I was telling her, like, we celebrated your death. We had your funeral. We built you a box. Like, I have your ashes at home. I felt them. And it was confusing, because she looked at me and she said, no, I'm always alive. I'm right here. And when I woke up, it was kind of, she knew how to handle it for me, because if I'd probably been able to see her while I was more conscious and awake, it may have been way too overwhelming for me to no longer have that. And so she came to me in a dream, and I'm freaking out, like, you died. And she's like, no, child, I'm right here. I'm always right here. I'm alive. And that helped me be able to help some other people in my family. So when we come back from this break, I'm curious as to what your first experience and your first reaction with Tina coming to you, and if that made you a little more stir crazy, because it did for me. I'm like, I know you're there now. I'm gonna be talking to you, and you better listen to me. And or if it was also just peace, that was just like, damn, okay, yeah, I get it, and I see that, and I understand that you want me to be able to live something out, that is the rest of our story, because she's still with you and she's still a part of your story, just not physically. So if you wouldn't mind, I'd be curious to know your first experience when we come back.
Sure thing.
And stay with us, everybody. Steve Gamlin is with us. I promise we're going to talk about your coaching and stuff, but this has meaningful impact to a lot of people that are saying have lost somebody, and they think they've lost them forever. That's just not the case. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Brushwood Media Network, the best in syndicated talk, news, and entertainment shows.
As you go about your daily life, look closer. As you gather with family and friends who love and support you, look closer. There are youth right in your community who don't have the home, warmth, and healing you have. So look closer. Every year across America, a staggering 4.2 million youth are homeless or trafficked. And for 50 years, Covenant House has worked relentlessly to keep them safe and protected. Tonight, 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed. And tomorrow, they will wake up surrounded by love. They get clean clothes, hot meals, medical care, and a safe place to sleep. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In sites across America to help them fulfill the great promise of their lives. So look closer at Covenant House. To help or get help, go to covenanthouse.org.
And welcome back to Positive Talk with Rochelle. That's her right there, the dancing one. And Steve Gamlin, he's been on the show before, and I love him to death. He is he's a great stand-up comic. He's a great speaker, but more importantly, you're a great human being. That's what you are, you know. So, Rochelle, go ahead and ask that question again.
Yeah, if you're open to sharing your first experience that you had after her passing, and maybe if it helped you be able to see all the other little things like her in the storm.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier a dear friend of mine, Dr. Carlos Perez, who's I was calling when Tina passed. We were all just the two of us were in England. We were on what was supposed to be a 5-day trip to England, and she passed away the second morning that we got there. So I was all alone, shattered and shaking for 5 days, and I was calling people from the States and letting them know, and some of my dearest friends, and of course my family, the day of. And Dr. Carlos suggested that I ask her to come to me in a dream just to say goodbye, to let me know that she was okay. And on the 9th night, she did at about 3 a.m. And she came to me. It was very hazy. It was very black and white, but she came to me and she just looked at me and said, I was exhausted. I was so tired. I was done. And that's all she said. And I reached out to touch her. I think I held her hand for a moment, and she just faded away and she was gone. And that was the only time she's actually been in a dream. But I still feel, even now, I mean, that was early December of 2024. That was just the great way to let me know she was okay. She was gone. She had known for a couple of years that her heart was not doing well. She never let on because she did not want to be fussed over. She did not like that. But she used to say things to me like, just after dinner, while we'd be watching TV at night, sitting on the couch, snuggled up, she'd look at me and for the past few years would say things like, you realize I'm going first, right? Me being me, I would look at her and say, well, why do you get to go first? And in her little voice, her just sweet, beautiful voice that I miss so much, she said, well, I don't want to be here without you. To which I would answer, so I don't even get a choice. She would just look at me in total she'd go, nope, very matter of factly. And she would go back to looking at the TV. And after she came to me in that dream, I thought of all the time she had been dropping hints to me that her health was failing. She was also 56 at the time. She had been going through menopause for almost 2 years, and it just racked her badly. And it hastened all of her issues. She hadn't slept a full night in about 1.5 years. She was exhausted all the time. And her heart, she had ischemic heart disease. We just didn't realize it was as bad as it was. So her coming to me in that dream was such a beautiful way, in just an intimate way, for her to let me know she was okay. And she was just so tired it was time for her to go.
Yeah. And to know also she's with you still, but a little more comfortable, a little more at peace, and probably feels a whole lot more powerful than she
Yeah.
did here. And that's okay.
Yeah. She's
It's
already been my
beautiful. Thank you
angel
for
a
sharing that.
number of times, not just the lightning.
Yeah.
I was there alone in London for 5 days, and then my sister flew over. She lives in Texas. She dropped everything. Her company let her work remotely for a month, and she flew over 4,000 miles to just be there for me. We were
Yeah.
stuck there for I was stuck there for about 2.5 weeks until I could finally leave the country. And when we got home, we flew to Logan Airport in Boston. My best friend of 40 plus years and his wife came down and got us, brought us to the house. As soon as I walked in the garage door into the basement, I could smell something. And I thought it could be propane, it could be rotten food, it could be anything.
Mhm.
Got upstairs, it was even worse. And my neighbor came over with a bunch of packages that had been delivered. And I just grabbed one because it was from one of my coaching clients. And I
Yeah.
opened it up and it was a grief candle. And I said, yeah, rotten smell in the house. We should light this. And then I didn't. 20 minutes later, I looked at the stove. One of the gas burners was open. It had been leaking propane into our house for 2.5 weeks. The house was full of propane. If I had lit that candle, I would have blown the house right off the foundation. So I'm thinking, Tina, signaled all the squirrels in my head who distracted me from lighting that candle. Just
She said, let's distract him.
met her at the pearly gates, and she would have gone, "What are you doing here? And what the hell happened to your eyebrows?" Well, I just, so I got to, all those moments are now stage stories. That there's a lesson, but there's also some humor and love and a lot of love in it too, because she had my back no matter what. We were best friends for 17 and a half years, 6,386 days we get to be together.
And you did the math.
I did the math. I was still in England when I looked that up. I was just wondering one day, how many days did I get to be with her? And one of the greatest things about that is shortly after I posted that on social media, after I shared it, a few days after she passed, I finally shared on social media once we had let everybody know. And I mentioned that number of days. And a gentleman reached out to me in a direct message on Facebook. And he said, Steve, I'm so sorry you lost your Tina. Because I always called her my Tina. He said, I'm so sorry you lost your Tina, but I want to let you know what you had for 6,386 days, I've never had for one day. So I hope you always realize how special your love was. And I do. I really do.
Well, and I can tell you, I agree with him 100%. Because it's very special when there's somebody that's in your life. I mean, I was married for 24 years. It was the best 6 months of my life. But when you're married or together with somebody for 17 years and they're your best friend, and the sun rises and falls with them, and you hurt when they hurt, and you feel great when they feel great, and every day is a blessing. Many of us never get to have that. And so it's a curse and it's also a blessing. So, and because, my wife left and it was like, okay, see ya, have a nice day. And where, so it wasn't that. So anyway, but I'm glad because this is still recent. And I'm glad you're working through it, and so is Tina. I'm just still blown away by of all the 35 songs that I had to tell you about that we were playing. I picked that song, and which meant so much to you, and so I think Tina was in my head there for just a minute.
I think so. Music was a big part of it for us. We made dinner together, actively in the kitchen, at least 4 nights a week. And we'd be shouting out using Alexa as a jukebox. And that was one of the songs that I played very often. And, I'd pick one, she'd pick one, I'd pick one, she'd pick one. And that was a song that I played a lot. And George Michael she was a huge fan of George. We were actually in England to see a concert being put on by his former touring band and singers with the blessing of his estate, which they don't give to anybody. That's why we were going. Tina surprised me with the trip in July of last year, a month after we get back from our cruise. She goes, "I know where we're going next." I said, "Okay." And if you've ever seen the original Grinch cartoon, Cindy Lou Who with the little wisp of with the beautiful little blonde hair and big blue eyes, that was Tina. And she had her big blue eyes going. And I said, "Where are we going?" She goes, "London." I said, "Well, great," because it was on my vision board, actually, all the European countries. And we got a bunch of them on the cruise, but not England. And I said, "When do you want to go?" And she says, "The first week of December." I'm like, "It's cold. Don't sort of wait till it's warmer." And she goes, "Well," and I said, "What's going on?" She goes, "A tribute to George Michael." I said, "Okay, awesome." And unfortunately, she didn't make the show, but I've since reached out to the singers and just explained to them what had happened, and they were just crushed that I lost her. And then they asked where I lived, and I told them I'm an hour and a half north of Boston, Mass. And she said, "We're touring America in 2026. If we play near you, we want to have you there as our special guest." And all I could think of is Tina rolling those big, beautiful blue eyes saying, "We traveled 3,000 miles. I did not get to go to the show, and now they've made you their VIP. Great." But she'll be there.
Steve,
It's another way to honor her.
Yeah.
I have to tell you this because George Michael was doing a concert and he was playing an Elton John song. And the Elton John song was "Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me." And at the very beginning of the song, he introduces Elton John and they do a duet together of "Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me."
Yeah. It's beautiful. I've seen videos of it and just wow.
That was another message, dude. I
Yep.
don't know, but this is an exciting. Thank you for being here. This was very important for a lot of people, and thank you for being so open about your love and loss of your dear Tina. That is so important, and it means so much to so many people who will hear this now and in the future, because hope sometimes is fleeting, especially when we're talking about the end of life. And if we can give somebody hope that, yeah, they go on, no question about it, and you'll see them again, no question about it, that can give somebody the hope to get through the grief so that they can live the rest of their life here the way that their loved one who is gone would prefer that they do it. So it's a great moment, and thank you for that. That may sound a little sappy, but I'm a little sappy guy. So, but Brichelle, this has been a great.
No, I'm fighting tears. Let's start there. Just because I understand it so deeply, but also what Kevin was saying is so powerful because you and Tina probably didn't get stuck in those moments, and I see this happening with a lot of younger people who are together, and it turns into "I hate you" in 5 minutes because somebody put the fork in the wrong spot, and I see so many times where people, they forget they love each other and what actually matters every day, and they choose to be angry, and they choose to see the flaws, and they choose to attack each other, and you and Tina got to live the most beautiful, magical time, and I'd fight against the fact that she didn't get to be there for that in London because she probably was, and she probably loved it, and she probably set all of this up for you to be able to have you experience what she does too. But it's just a reminder, like, even pay attention to the way you're treating yourself and pay attention to the way that's affecting other people who love you, and cherish those relationships, because I'm guessing you didn't go to London and you thought, you know what, I'm going to lose the love of my life in 24 hours and I'm not going to know what to do, but I will still have her. And it's so beautiful to know that something like that is existing, and it's inspiring. You have Inspire right behind you, and you are the definition of inspiration. So, like Kevin said, thank you for being here, sharing your love and loss. And again, we need to take a break, but when we come back, I'd love to touch base into your coaching and your speaking and how all that's been going for you, and talk about that journey a little bit.
And Steve, I don't often do this, but I created a piece and it's about kindness. And I'm dedicating it to you and Tina because of the love that you had for each other. And here it is. The strength of staying kind from your friends at Positive Talk Radio. Kindness is not weakness. It takes real strength to stay kind in a world that often rewards anger, ego, and control. Being kind means choosing to act from your values, not your wounds. It means showing grace even when no one's watching. But kindness doesn't mean being passive. It doesn't mean letting people take advantage of your time, your energy, or your peace. You can be kind and still say no. You have a soft heart with firm boundaries. The strongest people I know are the ones who choose compassion without losing themselves. They've been hurt. They've been tested. And still, they choose to love and lead and to lift others anyway. Kindness is not about pleasing everybody. It's about honoring who you are and how you treat others, even when it's hard. So stay kind, stay human, and stay strong. And always remember this, be kind to one another because each other's all we've got. And welcome back, everybody. We're talking with Steve Gamlin, and that piece that I just did is so emblematic of you because you are kind. You do a lot of work with groups and with kids, and you speak and for people, and you have a great message, and it's funny, and the stories are real, and you are the epitome of a human being who is working to be kind to everybody, and I know that being kind to yourself is the first thing.
Yeah, first thing in the morning, and I learned this from Mel Robbins, who's one of my favorite speakers, is the high five habit. The first thing I do every morning after I get up, and also her 5-second rule. The alarm beeps 5 times, it's off. I count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Even if my eyes aren't 100% open, my feet are on the floor. Stand up, make the bed, and get to the bathroom mirror, high five, and I just point at myself and I say, I love you. And usually the second line is, because you're a good dude. And then I start laughing. And then I just talk about how I'm going to go into this day. And I'm going to try, I'm going to be positive. I'm going to be focused, which has been very challenging and difficult. I've got a herd of squirrels and each one has a harmonica and they're all playing different songs. But I just do that. And then I go downstairs, do my workout, and start my day. But being kind to yourself and self-love, that's not something that I have had my entire life. 57. And my confidence and positive self-talk can barely drive a car and can't buy a beer yet. I'm growing into it, and everything I've been going through the past 8+ months has been a huge wake up for me that Tina would want the best for me, especially from myself. So I make it a very big point every day to celebrate the wins and to stay focused and to pick myself up. And I know she's here cheering me on all the time anyway, because January of 2023, she came up to me in the living room, gave me a big, big, tight hug, and had her head on my chest. And she asked, honey, can I ask a favor? And I said, sure, babe, what's up? Can this be the year you get famous? So I don't have to work as hard. And what she meant by getting famous was putting my business back to where it used to be and where it needed to be again, because there were some rough years. Tina is the 4th death in just over 6 years. The pandemic wiped out all of my businesses, and it was just me getting it back into a good place, and dealing with depression and things like that from the deaths, and just feeling stagnant. And so that phrase is now hanging right up on the whiteboard above my desk in my office. And I say to her every day, I said, yep, this is the year, baby. We're going to get famous again, and make her proud.
Well,
Go ahead, Rochelle.
I just wanted to add to that and say, but it's so powerful for you to carry that on, because you get to, it's touching and it's hard to look at yourself sometimes and say, hey, you know what? Today I got you. I love you. Everything is going to be okay. And that's what she would have done if she was there. She would have been that person high fiving you on the other side of the mirror and loving you and believing in you. And for her to see that you're giving that to yourself is having a huge impact on so many people and so many businesses that you get to work with and share this message. So thank you for mentioning that because it is highly important and it's hard.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. And every night, the last thing I do before I go to bed is I take her little, I just have a keepsake urn and I hold it to my heart and I talk to her and I say, I love you. I miss you. And I'd be sitting right there because you weren't supposed to leave me, but thank you for today. And I'll see you in the morning. So, and that's every day. And then every morning, first thing I come downstairs for my workout, hold it to my heart and I say, hey, baby, thank you for my good night's sleep. Although there haven't been many good ones. I'm waking up all the time, but and I just say, you know what? Help me to stay focused today and we'll get through it. And yeah, so I still talk to her every day. She's here. I know that.
Dancing around the house, being loud.
Yeah, well, I don't dance much because she's watching, but and I'm also not a good dancer. I was a DJ behind the table for 28 and a half years. I danced great behind the table.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, and you know, you're getting a little older now. Have you looked back at the totality of all the things you've done, all the people that you've impacted, all the stories that you've told, all the laughter that you've gained, and you should be proud of yourself. I hope you are.
I enjoy being able to look back and see all these things. I mean, I'm 57 now. When I was 11, I had 4 goals. I wanted to be a radio DJ, an author of my own
Check.
books, a stand-up
Check.
comedian,
Check.
and teacher of people, but not in a classroom.
Check.
Yep. All of them. And I'm great. And some people have said, well, Steve, you kept changing tracks and, you know, doing different things and bouncing your life off the wall. I said, yeah, but I took something from every single stage.
Yep.
That's how I got here.
That is such an important lesson that we are the sum total of all of our experiences, both positively and negatively. And in my world, all those experiences were designed by you before you even got here to create the life that you would have the greatest impact to other people in a service way.
Yeah.
And I firmly believe that this conversation that we are having was preordained, that we were going to have this conversation and it was going to go the way that it's gone because it can be so impactful to so many people. And when Brichelle is almost in tears, not that she doesn't do that a lot, but I'm eternally grateful for the man that you are, and thank you.
Thank you. And you know, for all the people who say, oh, you and Tina were so perfect together, there's a reason for that. We were both married previously, and we both spent several years, as a matter of fact, after those marriages ended, becoming the best versions of ourselves. And I consciously said, I want to fall in love one more time in my life. And I said that in the early 2000s, and I wanted it to be real love. And I spent several years becoming what I felt was the best version of me to be able to find and attract and fall in love with the best partner for me. And at the time, she was 1,350 miles away doing exactly the same thing. And I found in her desk 4 fortunes from Fortune Cookies that she got during those couple of years, which completely predicted our relationship. One of them was even an old friend is going to come back into your life. We went to high school together, didn't see or talk to each other for 21 years. Early June of 2007, I wrote in my journal, I'm ready to fall in love. June 16th of 2007, she sent me an email all the way from Florida to New Hampshire. Hey, I saw your name online. We should keep in touch. That's the email that rocked my world. And by then we were both ready and it just worked.
And you do recognize that was also preordained.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Out of the billions and billions and billions of fortune cookies in the back closet of that particular Chinese restaurant, over time, she got those 4 and she kept them. all this time, just like she kept every note, card, and letter I ever gave her, because I found them all.
That,
Yeah.
by the way, this is a movie. This would be.
Yes.
I've already been asked. I was asked within 2 weeks of Tina's passing when the book was going to come out, and then somebody did ask when the movie's going to come out. So I'll be on stage talking about it, and the stories will continue to evolve as I remember them, because there's so many things about our relationship that once in a while something will trigger me and go, oh my gosh, I haven't thought about that in a long time, because it needs to be in the book or in a movie.
Very well said.
There are so few times that's why movies like He's Got Mail and When Harry Met Sally, and and they call them chick flicks, but those are really heartfelt love stories.
Yeah.
There just aren't enough of those without guns and all that kind of stuff. And
Tina used
superhero.
to say to me all the time, because I was the one to remember all of our anniversaries. There was June 16th, which was when she sent the email. There was July 21st, which she texted me that she loved me. And then there was August 17th, which we recently had the anniversary of, where she flew up to New Hampshire because her grandmother was having surgery. And that was the first time we actually got to see each other, because she wouldn't even send me a picture of herself and had no social media footprint. So for 2 months, I fell in love with my heart wide open and my eyes closed. And I was the one every year to remember those 3 dates. And Tina would look at me and say, you realize you're the chick in this relationship, right? To which I would smile and say, yes, I do, baby. She goes, okay. No problem with that, because secretly she loved the fact that I remembered all those and that they were so special to me. She, a couple of years ago, gave me a gift of 3 pairs of custom socks. And those dates were on the pairs of socks. And one day she asked me, she goes, oh, what are those dates again? So I don't forget to give you a card this year. And she would do that sometimes, and I'd be clueless. It would go right over my head. And all of a sudden, a gift would show up that was special. One, like the gift that has our first home and the date of when we bought the house. She had asked me, oh, what's the anniversary? So I make sure we don't miss the mortgage payment. And then it was the final Christmas gift, which I'm so thankful she gave to me before we left for England, because I got emotional getting it then. I would have been destroyed if I found it afterward.
Yeah.
And she was a smart lady. She was
brilliant, hardworking, brilliant,
Still
caring,
is,
loving, generous. Just my perfect partner, my Tina. And that's what I always called her, my Tina. And her boss and her coworkers used to say, I love it when Steve says my Tina. And Tina would go, yeah. She would just roll her beautiful blue eyes. And she would always say, I will never come hear you speak, because I'll be so embarrassed sitting in the audience once you start telling our stories. And I said, babe, we're going to get an Oprah Law of Attraction special someday. And she would always say, she goes, I'm going to wear a paper bag over my head. And I would respond, you can't. You're the cute one. I can tell the story, but you're the beautiful one out of the two of us.
Steve, this has been a very, very, very positive show. I had no idea where it was going before we got into it. And I'm glad it went the way it went. Brachelle, it's up to you to close it out today.
We'd love to. So thank you for being with us, everybody who's listened, who's commented in, and who is supporting Steve. We're on your team, and we love your Tina. And I'm glad that you choose to be the person you are and live the way you do, so that you can still experience her, and it maybe makes it just a little easier on some days. So before we close out, I would love for you to give anything you'd like to share with our audience to remember through the day, and best way to find what you're doing and learn a little bit from you.
Yeah, the best suggestion I can make is think of the people who've had an impact on your life, in your life. And if you haven't talked to those people in a while, or reached out and said thank you, or hey, do you remember this incredible moment? You're going to pick up their day. And the most beautiful part about it is the person who'll probably get the most kick and charge out of it is going to be you, and not in a selfish way. But reach out and let people know, because they're not going to be here forever. And I'm very, very, very happy that every single day I told Tina, I love you. And many times she would look at me and say, I know. Thank you. which made me laugh every time she did it. And I still think of it all the time. And for people that want to find me and follow and just follow along at my journey, you can find me on Facebook at Steve Gamlin, Gamlin. I'm also on LinkedIn, and my website is stevegamlin.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much for being here with us, Steve. It's truly an honor.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you both. This has been a sensational show. And we'll see you next time, everybody. Thank you for being part of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald, where stories inspire and voices remind us of what truly matters. May today's conversation give you hope, courage, and a reason to keep moving forward. And just remember, till next time, be kind to one another because each other's all we've got.